Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her ship and watched the stars. She had been doing this for 15 years now, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Back then, she was just Commander Chen, young and excited about meeting aliens from other worlds. Now she was older and wiser. She knew that space was big and full of dangers, but she also knew that humans were good at solving problems. That was why the Council had wanted them in the first place. Sarah remembered the day. Everything changed. She was 25 years old and working on a small research ship. Earth had just made contact with the Vorthak, a race of crystal beings who lived on cold worlds. The Vorthak were the first aliens humans had ever met. At first, everyone was scared. The Vorthak ships were huge and made of some kind of living crystal that could repair itself. Their weapons could turn entire planets into glass. But the Vorthak were not here to fight. They were here to talk. The meeting took place on Earth's moon. Sarah was there as a junior officer, watching from the back of the room. She saw the Vorthak ambassador, a being that looked like a walking diamond the size of a person. It spoke in musical tones that the computers had to translate. "Your species is young," the Vorthak said, "but you show promise. You have something we have not seen in a long time." The human ambassador, an old man named Director Williams, asked what that was. "You make peace from war," the Vorthak replied. "Your world has many different groups of people. They fight each other for thousands of years, but now they work together. This is rare in the galaxy." That was the beginning. The Vorthak introduced humans to other alien races. The Etherian Collective, beings made of gas and energy who lived in the space between stars. The Nexari, half machine and half living creatures, who could live forever by moving their minds into new bodies. Each race was older than humanity by millions of years. Each had technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. But humans had something they did not have. Humans could bring enemies together and make them friends. Sarah learned this lesson many times over the years. She watched human diplomats solve wars that had lasted for centuries. She saw human engineers fix problems that alien scientists said could not be fixed. She saw human traders make deals that helped everyone get richer. The galaxy was a big place with thousands of different races. Most of them did not trust each other. Some had been fighting for so long they forgot why the war started. Others were so different they could not even talk to each other. But humans were good at understanding different points of view. They could see what each side wanted and find ways to give it to them. They were patient and clever and willing to try new things. The Galactic Council had existed for 50,000 years. It was supposed to keep peace between the races, but mostly it just tried to stop wars from spreading. Real peace was rare. Then humans arrived and everything changed. Sarah's first big mission was to help end a war between the Keltor and the Vash. The Keltor were bird-like creatures who lived in the sky cities of gas giant planets. The Vash were underwater people who lived in the oceans of water worlds. They had been fighting over mining rights in a system with both types of planets. The Council had tried to solve this problem for 300 years. Each side claimed the whole system belonged to them. Neither would share. Sarah's team spent 6 months studying the problem. They learned that the Keltor needed a certain type of crystal that grew on the ocean floors. The Vash needed a gas that the Keltor produced as waste from their cities. The solution was simple once they saw it. The Keltor could build their sky cities over the Vash oceans. The Keltor would get their crystals from mining contracts with the Vash. The Vash would get the gas they needed from the Keltor cities. Both sides would make more money than they ever had before. It took another year to work out all the details, but in the end, the war stopped. The Keltor and Vash became trading partners. They even started building mixed colonies where both races could live together. Stories like this spread across the galaxy. Other races started asking for human help with their problems. The Council began sending human diplomats to every major conflict. Sarah was promoted again and again. She commanded bigger ships and led more important missions. She watched as human colonies spread to dozens of star systems. Each new world was different, but humans learned to live on all of them. The desert world of Cathera, where humans learned to farm in the sand using water from underground rivers. The ice moon of Frost Harbor, where humans built cities under the frozen surface and mined rare metals from the core. The forest planet of New Garden, where humans worked with the native, plant-like aliens to grow food that could feed both races. Each colony was a success. Each world became richer and safer with humans living there. The Council praised humanity's gift for making friends from enemies, but not everyone was happy about human success. Sarah started to notice small things first: delays in supply shipments to human colonies, technical problems with Council communication networks when humans tried to use them, meeting invitations that arrived too late for humans to attend. Then there were the whispers. Other races talking quietly when they thought no humans were listening. Words like too fast and too many and not natural. Sarah brought her concerns to Director Williams, who was now the head of all human diplomatic efforts. He was an old man now, with gray hair and tired eyes. "I've noticed it too," he said. "Some of the older races are getting nervous about us. They think we're growing too quickly." "Are we?" Sarah asked. Williams smiled sadly. "We're doing exactly what we've always done. We see problems and we fix them. We meet new people and we try to be friends. But maybe that's the problem." Sarah did not understand at first. Then Williams explained. "The galaxy has been the same for thousands of years. The same races in the same places, fighting the same wars. Everyone knew their place. Then we showed up and started changing things." Sarah thought about this. It was true that wherever humans went, things got better. But they also got different. Old enemies became friends. New trade routes opened up. Technology improved faster. Maybe some races liked things the way they were before. Williams sent Sarah on a new mission. Her job was to visit the major council worlds and listen. She was supposed to learn what the other races really thought about humanity. What she learned scared her. The Vorthak were worried that humans were spreading too fast. They had rules about how quickly new races could grow. Humans were breaking those rules. The Etherian Collective was concerned about human technology. Humans learned too quickly and improved things too much. This upset the balance of power in the galaxy. The Nexari were the most worried of all. They had been the newest race in the Council for 10,000 years. Now humans were taking that role. Worse, humans were becoming more influential in just 15 years than the Nexari had. "Become in 10,000, Sarah reported back to Williams. He listened to everything she had learned, then sat quietly for a long time. "What do we do?" Sarah asked. "We keep being human," Williams said. "We can't change what we are. And we shouldn't have to." But Sarah could see the worry in his eyes. She could feel something building in the galaxy around them, something that felt like a storm coming. The message arrived on a normal Tuesday morning. Admiral Sarah Chen was drinking coffee in her office when her assistant brought her the golden data crystal that meant official council business. The message was from the council president himself, an ancient Etherian named Wind Through Stars. The voice was like music when the computer translated it to human speech. Greetings, Admiral Chen and all representatives of humanity. The Council wishes to honor your species for 15 years of outstanding service to galactic peace. We invite your entire diplomatic fleet to Galactic Central for a grand celebration. This will be a historic event that the galaxy will remember forever. Sarah read the message 3 times. It sounded wonderful, but something felt wrong about. She could not say what exactly bothered her. The invitation asked for every human diplomatic ship to come to the Council's main world. All 127 vessels. Every important human diplomat, scientist, and cultural expert. The cream of human civilization in space. Sarah called Director Williams. He was excited about the invitation. This is what we've worked for, he said. Full acceptance into the galactic community. They're going to give us some kind of award. Why do they want every ship? Sarah asked. Wouldn't a few representatives be enough? Williams laughed. Sarah, you worry too much. This is good news. The Council wants to show the whole galaxy how much they value humanity. But Sarah's worries grew when she started preparing for the trip. Normally, Council events were planned months in advance. This one was scheduled for next week. That was very fast for the Council, which usually moved slowly on everything. She tried to contact human colonies to let them know the diplomatic fleet would be away. Half the communication channels were down for routine maintenance. The others had strange delays and static. On Earth, Dr. Marcus Webb was having similar problems. He ran the Theoretical Defense Initiative, a small research group that studied potential threats to humanity. Most people thought his job was unnecessary. Humans had been safe in Council space for 15 years, but Webb had been a soldier before he became a scientist. He knew that peace could end quickly if you were not ready for war. His sensors were picking up strange energy readings from deep space. Ships moving in patterns that did not match normal trade routes. Communications that used old military codes from races that were supposed to be at peace. Webb tried to contact Admiral Chen, but her ship was already traveling to Galactic Central. He sent messages to other human leaders, but most of them were busy preparing for the celebration. Only a few people listened to his warnings. Captain Maria Santos, who commanded the defense station at New Garden. Commander James Park, who led the patrol ships around Earth. A handful of others who remembered that space could be dangerous. Webb told them to be ready for anything. He could not say what might happen, but all his instincts told him trouble was coming. The human diplomatic fleet gathered at the edge of Council space. 127 ships carrying the best and brightest of humanity. Scientists who had unlocked the secrets of alien technology. Diplomats who had ended wars that lasted centuries. Artists and teachers and engineers who had built bridges between worlds. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Harmony. She watched the other ships take their positions for the jump to Galactic Central. Each vessel represented years of human effort and achievement. The Harmony carried Earth's finest art collection, including paintings and music from every human culture. The research vessel Einstein had the galaxy's best human scientists aboard. The cultural exchange ship Unity held teachers and diplomats who had learned dozens of alien languages. If something happened to this fleet, humanity would lose its most experienced space travelers. But Sarah pushed that thought away. She was being paranoid. The Council had protected humanity for 15 years. They were friends. The fleet jumped to hyperspace together. It would take 3 days to reach Galactic Central. Sarah spent the time reviewing files about the Council and its history. She wanted to understand why they were being honored. What she found made her more worried, not less. The Council had celebrated other races before, usually when those races had reached some limit on their growth. The Nexari celebration happened, when they agreed to stop expanding their territory. The Vorthak celebration came after they gave up their most powerful weapons. Was humanity being celebrated for something they had agreed to give up? Sarah could not remember making any such agreement. On the 3rd day, the fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Galactic Central System. Sarah expected to see a normal star system with the Council's beautiful crystal cities orbiting the main world. Instead, she saw a trap. The moment the human ships appeared, their hyperspace drives shut down. Some kind of energy field was blocking their ability to jump away. Alarms started ringing on every bridge. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. There are ships hiding in the asteroid belt." Sarah's blood went cold. "How many ships?" "Hundreds, ma'am. Maybe thousands. All major council races are represented." The trap had been planned perfectly. The human fleet was spread out from their jump, not ready for battle. Their ships were designed for diplomacy and exploration, not war. Most of them had only light weapons for protection against pirates. Sarah opened a communication channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Chen. All vessels, battle stations. Prepare for possible hostile action." Before she could say more, the Council fleet attacked. Vorthak crystal ships appeared first, their weapons turning space itself into cutting blades. Etherian energy beings struck like lightning, flowing through space faster than human sensors could track. Nexari war machines, half alive and half mechanical, swarmed toward the human fleet like angry insects. The attack was overwhelming. Human. Ships tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered 50-1. The UES Einstein exploded in the first minute, taking Earth's best scientists with it. The cultural exchange ship Unity lasted longer, but Sarah watched it break apart under concentrated fire. Her own ship shook as enemy weapons hit the hull. The lights flickered and alarms screamed warnings about hull breaches and failing systems. "Admiral!" her tactical officer shouted. "The Nexari are jamming our communications. I can barely reach the other ships." Sarah knew the battle was lost. The question now was whether anyone could escape to warn Earth. She activated the emergency broadcast system, sending a message toward human space on all frequencies. The Council ships would probably intercept it, but maybe some of it would get through. "This is Admiral Chen to all human colonies and Earth Command. The Council has betrayed us. This was a trap. They're destroying the diplomatic fleet. We were wrong to trust them. They planned this from the beginning. Enemy fire hit the Harmony's main reactor. The ship started to die around her. Sarah kept talking, even as explosions shook the bridge. Remember what we built in the dark between stars. Remember the hidden places. Don't trust the Council. They fear us because we're different. Because we change things. Because we make the galaxy better. The communication system failed. Sarah's last view was of the Council fleet spreading out to hunt down the few human ships that were still running. Some escape pods had gotten away, but not many. As the Harmony's bridge filled with smoke, Sarah thought about Earth, about her home and family, about all the human colonies that were probably being attacked right now. The Council thought they had won by destroying humanity's diplomatic fleet. They thought cutting off the head would kill the body. They were about to learn how wrong they were across the galaxy, human colonies received fragments of Admiral Chen's final message. The words were broken and unclear, but the meaning was obvious. Earth's greatest friends had become their deadliest enemies. On Earth, Dr. Webb watched the emergency signals arrive. His worst fears had come true. War was coming to humanity, whether they wanted it or not. But Webb had been preparing for this day for 15 years. In the dark spaces between stars, in hidden shipyards and secret research stations, humanity had built something the Council did not know about. They had built a war fleet, and now it was time to use it. The news hit Earth like a physical blow. Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the Emergency Command Center, watching reports stream in from across human space. Admiral Chen was dead. The entire diplomatic fleet was destroyed, and Council warships were moving toward human colonies. The first attacks came within hours of the ambush at Galactic Central. The ice mining colony on Frost Harbor went silent first. Then the farming world of New Garden stopped transmitting. One by one, human settlements across the galaxy began disappearing from the communication networks. Webb had been preparing for this moment for 15 years, but he still felt sick watching it happen. These were not military targets. They were peaceful colonies full of families and children. "Sir," his assistant called out, "we're getting scattered transmissions from the colonies under attack. The Council fleets are demanding immediate surrender." "Are any of them surrendering?" Webb asked. "No, sir. Every colony is fighting back." Webb nodded grimly. That was exactly what he expected from humans. They might not have been soldiers, but they would not go quietly into the dark. "Activate Protocol Blackout," he ordered. "Send the activation codes to all hidden facilities. It's time to wake up the fleet." Across human space, seemingly normal mining operations and research stations received Webb's coded message. In the asteroid belt around Earth, what looked like a simple mining platform suddenly began opening like a giant flower. Inside was a shipyard that had been building warships in secret for over a decade. Similar facilities activated throughout human territory. A communications relay near Proxima Centauri revealed itself to be a weapons testing facility. An agricultural research station at Wolf 359 was actually a training base for combat pilots. For 15 years, while humanity had played the role of peaceful diplomats, they had also been quietly preparing for war. Not because they wanted to fight, but because they understood that space was dangerous and peace was fragile. Webb had learned this lesson as a young soldier during the resource wars on Earth. Peace was wonderful, but it only lasted if you were strong enough to defend it. The hidden shipyards began launching vessels that the Council had never seen before. These were not exploration ships or diplomatic cruisers. These were warships designed with one purpose: to fight and win against superior numbers. The UES Prometheus Unbound was the largest ship in the secret fleet. Webb had designed it himself, incorporating technology stolen or traded from dozens of alien races. It was his masterpiece and his command ship. But the hidden fleet was not just about big ships and powerful weapons. Webb had learned from studying every Council race for 15 years. He knew their strengths and weaknesses. He knew how they fought and how they thought. Most importantly, he knew they had never faced an enemy like humanity before. The Council races were old and set in their ways. They fought the same battles using the same tactics for thousands of years. Their technology was advanced but predictable. Their strategies were complex but rigid. Humans were different. They adapted. They improvised. They learned from every fight and came back stronger. Webb's first target was the Vorthak fleet attacking New Garden. The crystal beings were methodical fighters who liked to overwhelm enemies with superior firepower. They expected humans to either run away or die quickly. Instead, they found something impossible. Captain Elena Rodriguez commanded the human defense of New Garden. She had only 12 ships against a Vorthak fleet of 200. By all logic, she should have been destroyed in minutes, but Rodriguez had been studying Vorthak tactics for years. She knew they liked to form geometric patterns that maximized their firepower. She also knew they had trouble adapting when those patterns were broken. Her ships attacked like a swarm of angry insects, hitting the Vorthak formation from all directions at once. When the crystal ships tried to reform their patterns, the humans had already moved to attack from somewhere else. The Vorthak commander, crystalline singer of final truths, watched in confusion as his superior fleet struggled against the tiny human force. Every time he thought he had cornered them, they slipped away and attacked from an unexpected angle. "How are they moving so fast?" he asked his tactical officer. "Unknown, fleet leader. Their ships appear to be using some kind of enhanced drive system we have not seen before." What the Vorthak did not understand was that human ships were designed differently from the start. While alien races built specialized vessels for specific roles, humans built ships that could change their function as needed. A cargo ship could become a fighter. A research vessel could turn into a bomber. A transport could transform into a command center. This flexibility came from human experience on Earth. For centuries, human sailors had learned to use whatever ships they had for whatever job needed doing. That tradition continued in space. Rodriguez kept the Vorthak busy while the human civilians evacuated New Garden. Every minute she held out meant more families could escape to hidden shelters in the outer system. But the real message was being sent to the Council. Humans would not be easy prey. Similar battles were happening across human space. At Frost Harbor, Commander James Kim used the Ice Moon's underground tunnels to hide his ships, then emerged to strike the Nexari fleet when they least expected it. At the desert world of Cathara, Captain Sarah Okafor turned the planet's sandstorms into weapons, using them to blind enemy sensors while her ships attacked. The Council had expected quick victories against scattered human colonies. Instead, they found themselves fighting dozens of small wars against an enemy that refused to follow the rules. Even when human colonies were eventually overwhelmed, they made the Council pay a heavy price. The colonists fought to the last person, buying time for their families to escape and sending valuable intelligence back to Earth. Webb watched the reports from his command center and felt proud of his people. They were proving that humans could not be easily conquered, but he also knew this was just the beginning. The Council would adapt to human tactics eventually. They had superior numbers and technology. The only way humanity could win was to change the nature of the fight itself. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a message from the Council. They want to talk." Webb almost laughed. "Put them through." The image that appeared on his screen was Win Through Stars, the Etherian Council president. The energy being flickered with what Webb had learned was anger. "Dr. Webb, your resistance is pointless. We have destroyed your diplomatic fleet and are systematically eliminating your colonies. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to survive as a client race." "No," Webb said simply. "You cannot win this war. We outnumber you 1,000 to 1. Our technology is superior. Your scattered colonies cannot stand against our combined fleets." Webb smiled coldly. "You're probably right, but you made one mistake." "What mistake?" Win Through Stars demanded. "You taught us too much. For 15 years we lived among you. We learned your languages, studied your technology, understood your cultures. We know exactly how you think and fight. Webb paused, letting that sink in. But you never really tried to understand us. You saw us as useful primitives who could help you solve problems. You never asked why we were so good at making peace from war. You never wondered what we had to overcome to unite our own world. Dassault. Etherian flickered with uncertainty. What are you saying? I'm saying you picked a fight with the wrong species. We spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other efficiently. Then we spent more time learning how to stop killing each other. Now you've given us a reason to remember those old lessons. Webb cut the transmission and turned to his fleet commanders. Send a message to all human forces. The talking is over. Show them what happens when you betray humanity. Across the galaxy, the hidden war fleet began to move. Ships that had been built in secret emerged from their hiding places in asteroid fields and gas giant atmospheres. Weapons that had been tested in the dark between stars powered up for the first time. The Council was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their ability to make peace. It was their ability to make war. Fleet Admiral 07 Prime of the Nexari felt something it had never experienced before: fear. The machine biological hybrid stood on the bridge of its flagship, processing reports that made no logical sense. 3 Nexari battle groups had vanished in the past week. Not destroyed, vanished. One moment they were there on sensors, the next moment empty space. No debris, no energy signatures, no distress calls. It was as if they had never existed. Show me the tactical recordings again, 07 Prime ordered. The holographic display showed the last moments of Battle Group 7. 12 heavy cruisers and their escort ships were moving through normal space near the human colony of Kepler Station. Sensors showed nothing unusual in the area. Then reality seemed to flicker. For just an instant, the display showed something impossible. Ships that existed in multiple places at the same time. Weapons that fired backwards through time. Energy. Patterns that hurt to look at directly. When the flicker ended, Battle Group 7 was gone. Analysis? 07 Prime demanded. Unknown technology, its science officer replied. The energy readings do not match anything in our databases. The humans appear to have developed some form of dimensional manipulation. 07 Prime had fought wars for over 3,000 years. It had seen every type of weapon and tactic the galaxy could produce. This was something entirely new. The first clue to what humanity had built came from a damaged Vorthak ship that barely escaped, an encounter with the human fleet. The crystal being's report was almost incoherent with terror. They exist in the spaces between spaces, Crystalline Singer of Broken Notes transmitted. Their ships phase in and out of our reality. We fired at them with our strongest weapons, but the energy passed through them like they were ghosts. How many ships attacked you? 07 Prime asked. 1. A single human vessel destroyed half my fleet and damaged the rest. It moved like liquid shadow, striking from impossible angles. Our sensors could not track it properly. 07 Prime processed this information. 1 human ship against 50 Vorthak vessels. The mathematics were wrong, but the evidence was clear. The truth became apparent when the human war fleet finally revealed itself in open battle. The target was Nexus Gate, a heavily fortified council stronghold that guarded one of the main hyperspace routes. 07 Prime commanded the defense personally. 200 council ships from 5 different races, including its own flagship, the Eternal Engine. It was the most powerful fleet ever assembled against humanity. The humans sent 12 ships. 07 Prime's first thought was that this was another diversionary attack. The real human fleet must be attacking somewhere else, while these few ships sacrificed themselves as a distraction. Then the battle began, and 07 Prime realized the truth was far worse. The human ships did not behave like normal vessels. They moved through space in ways that violated every law of physics. 07 Prime understood. They existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, striking from angles that should not exist. The lead human ship broadcast a message before the fighting started. A human face appeared on the screen, older than 07 Prime remembered from the diplomatic records. This was Dr. Marcus Webb, but changed somehow. Enhanced. I am Dr. Webb, commanding the UES Prometheus Unbound. You have 15 minutes to surrender and withdraw from this system. 07 Prime almost laughed. You have 12 ships against my 200. The outcome is obvious. Webb's expression did not change. Yes, it is, but not in the way you think. The human ships attacked without further warning. 07 Prime watched in growing horror as its superior fleet was systematically destroyed. The human vessels seemed to learn from every shot fired at them. Their armor adapted to each type of weapon, becoming stronger with every hit. When Vorthak crystal cutters struck a human ship, the armor absorbed the energy and used it to power defensive shields. When Etherian energy beings tried to possess human vessels, they found electronic systems that turned their own power against them. When Nixari virus weapons attempted to corrupt human computers, they encountered artificial intelligences that not only resisted the attack, but learned to use the viruses as weapons themselves. But the most terrifying thing was not the technology. It was the way the humans fought. Every human ship broadcast the names and faces of the people killed in the Council's betrayal. They spoke the final words of Admiral Chen and the other diplomats who had died trusting Council friendship. They shared the last messages from colonists who had been murdered for the crime of being different. "Remember Maria Santos," one human captain said as his ship destroyed a Vorthak cruiser. "She was 8 years old when you killed her on New Garden. She wanted to be a teacher." "Remember Director Williams," another human added, targeting 07 Prime's own escort ships. "He spent 30 years making peace between your races. You murdered him for trying to make the galaxy better." 07 Prime tried to block the transmissions, but the human signals cut through every jamming frequency. Its crew was forced to listen to an endless list of names, thousands of humans who had died believing the Council were their friends. Psychological effect was devastating. Council crews began making mistakes, hesitating at crucial moments. Some ships even stopped firing entirely, their crews overwhelmed by guilt. 07 Prime realized that this was deliberate. The humans were not just fighting a military battle. They were fighting a war for the soul of the galaxy itself. All ships maintain firing discipline, 07 Prime transmitted. Ignore the human propaganda. Focus on tactical objectives. But it was too late. The human technology was too advanced, their tactics too flexible, their psychological warfare too effective. One by one, the Council ships fell silent. The Eternal Engine was the last ship left. 07 Prime stood alone on its bridge, the rest of its crew either dead or incapacitated. The ship's systems were failing, its weapons exhausted. The Prometheus, unbound, appeared directly in front of it, emerging from what looked like empty space. Up close, 07 Prime could see the impossible truth. The human ship existed in at least 4 dimensions simultaneously. Parts of it flickered in and out of visible reality. Dr. Webb's face appeared on the main screen again. But now, 07 Prime could see that he was more than human. His eyes held depths that spoke of enhanced intelligence and expanded consciousness. He carried within himself the memories and experiences of everyone who had died in the Council's betrayal. "You wanted to know what humanity truly is," Webb said quietly. "We are the species that spent 10,000 years learning to kill each other, then learned to stop. We are the people who can make peace from war and friends from enemies. But we are also the children of Earth, where only the adaptable survive." 07 Prime tried to speak, but its voice circuits were damaged. Webb continued. "You saw us as useful primitives. You never asked what we had to become to unite a world full of predators. You never wondered what technologies we might develop to survive in the most dangerous environment in the galaxy." "What environment?" 07 Prime managed to ask. "Each other," Webb replied. "For thousands of years, humans were each other's greatest threat. We learned to be creative, adaptable, and unpredictable because our survival depended on it. We learned to build weapons that could kill anything and defenses that could stop anything." Webb paused, and 07 Prime saw something like sadness in his enhanced features. "Then we learned something even more important. We learned when not to use those abilities. We chose to be builders instead of destroyers, teachers instead of conquerors. We offered you our friendship and our help, and you threw it away because you were afraid of what we might become." The transmission ended. The Prometheus Unbound began to move away from the crippled Nexari ship. 07 Prime realized that Webb was letting it live. The human could have destroyed the Eternal Engine easily, but chose not to. It was a message more terrifying than any weapon. Humanity was not fighting to destroy the Council. They were fighting to replace it. As 07 Prime drifted in its damaged ship, watching the human fleet disappear into dimensional shadows, it understood the true magnitude of the Council's mistake. They had betrayed the one species in the galaxy capable of uniting all the others. They had turned humanity's greatest friends into their most dangerous enemies, and now the humans were coming for Galactic Central itself. The message 07 Prime sent to the Council was simple. "We are not fighting a war. We are being taught a lesson, and the teacher is very disappointed in us." The Council chambers on Galactic Central had never seen such panic. Representatives from dozens of races filled the great crystal hall, their voices mixing into a chaos of fear and confusion. Reports continued to stream in from across the galaxy. Human fleets were winning impossible victories. Council strongholds were falling one by one. Wind Through Stars, the Etherian Council president, flickered with desperate energy as it tried to maintain order. The other Council leaders, Crystalline Singer of Final Truths for the Vorthak, Fleet Admiral 07 Prime for the Nexari, had all returned with the same message. Humanity was not just winning the war, they were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. "They appear and disappear like ghosts," the Vorthak representative sang in harmonics of terror. "Our strongest weapons pass through them harmlessly. Their technology adapts to everything we use against them." 07 Prime added its mechanical voice to the discussion. "This is not mere technological superiority. They have evolved beyond our understanding. Each human ship fights with the knowledge and experience of their entire species. How is that possible?" demanded the Keltor representative, its feathers ruffled with anxiety. "We do not know," 07 Prime admitted. "But their leader, this Dr. Webb, is no longer entirely human. He has become something else. Something that carries the memories of everyone we killed." Wind Through Stars pulsed with frustrated energy. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. They had faced rebellions before, crushed upstart species, maintained order through superior technology and numbers, but they had never faced anything like humanity. "Activate the stellar converter," Wind Through Stars announced. The chamber fell silent. The stellar converter was the Council's ultimate weapon, built in secret over millennia. It could turn a star into a directed energy beam capable of sterilizing entire sectors of space. It had never been used, but its existence was the Council's final guarantee of power. "If we cannot defeat humanity conventionally, we will destroy them completely. And if that means destroying ourselves and half the galaxy in the process, so be it." The other Council members protested, but Wind Through Stars would not listen. The weapon began charging deep in the core of Galactic Central's star. It would take hours to reach full power, but once activated, nothing in the galaxy could stop it. That was when the human fleet arrived. Dr. Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Unbound and watched Galactic Central grow larger on the main screen. The planet where humanity had first been welcomed into galactic civilization 15 years ago. The place where Admiral Chen and so many others had died, believing they were among friends. Webb was no longer entirely the man he had been. The enhancement process had changed him, expanding his consciousness to carry the memories and experiences of every human who had died in the Council's betrayal. He remembered Maria Santos, the 8-year-old girl who wanted to be a teacher. He remembered Director Williams, who spent his life building bridges between species. He remembered Admiral Chen's final words about building in the dark between stars. All of them lived within him now, and their voices guided his actions. The human fleet that approached Galactic Central was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, weapons that could reach backwards through time, defenses that grew stronger with every attack. But Webb's greatest weapon was not technological. It was the weight of justice itself. "Open a channel to the Council," he ordered. The response came immediately. Wind Through Stars appeared on the screen, its energy form crackling with desperate defiance. "Dr. Webb, you have come to die at the heart of galactic civilization." "I've come to save it," Webb replied calmly. "From you." "Impossible. We have activated the stellar converter. In 2 hours, this entire system will become a weapon capable of destroying everything within 50 light years. You cannot stop it." Webb's expression did not change. "You're right, I can't stop it. But I can contain it." The battle for Galactic Central began unlike any fight in galactic history. The Council's remaining fleets, every ship they could gather from across their territory, threw themselves at the human force with desperate fury. But the humans had evolved beyond conventional warfare. Their ships phased through enemy fire, struck from impossible angles, adapted to every weapon used against them. More than that, they fought with a unity of purpose that no artificial intelligence could match. Each human crew carried within them the memories of their fallen comrades. They fought not just for victory, but for vindication, for proof that humanity's way of peace and cooperation was better than the Council's way of fear and control. Webb watched from his command chair as reality itself began to fracture around them. The dimensional manipulation technology that humanity had developed was pushing the boundaries of what space-time could endure. Cracks appeared in the fabric of existence, revealing glimpses of other timelines where this battle had different outcomes. In some of those timelines, humanity lost and the galaxy burned. In others, humanity won and became the very monsters the Council had claimed they were. But in this timeline, Webb had a third choice. All ships, concentrate fire on the stellar converter containment field, he ordered. We're going to do what the Council thinks is impossible. The human fleet turned their impossible weapons on the star itself, not to destroy it, but to cage it. Using technology that bent space and time, they began wrapping dimensional barriers around the stellar converter's energy output. The process was destroying their ships one by one. The energies involved were beyond what any vessel could safely contain. But the humans kept fighting, sacrificing themselves to contain a weapon that could have destroyed half the galaxy. Wind Through Stars watched in growing horror as the humans succeeded in doing the impossible. They were not just stopping the stellar converter, they were turning its own power against itself, creating a dimensional prison that would contain the blast. Why? The Etherian demanded. Why sacrifice yourselves to save us? We betrayed you. We tried to destroy your species. Webb's image appeared on every screen throughout the Council fleet. His voice carried the weight of every human who had died for galactic peace. Because that's what humans do, he said simply. We save people. Even people who try to kill us. Even people who don't deserve saving. Because the alternative is to become like you. The stellar converter reached critical mass and fired. The energy output was enough to sterilize worlds, turn planets into glass, reduce entire civilizations to ash. Instead, it was absorbed by the dimensional barriers the humans had created. The weapon that should have destroyed the galaxy became a prison for its own power, locked away in folded space-time where it could harm no one. Most of the human fleet died in the process. Their ships were consumed by energies beyond imagination, their crews sacrificing themselves to protect the very people who had betrayed them, but their sacrifice was not in vain. When the light faded and the sensors cleared, Galactic Central still existed. The Council fleets were intact but powerless. Their ultimate weapon was gone, locked away where it could never be used again, and in the space above the planet, a single human ship remained. The Prometheus Unbound was damaged but intact. Dr. Webb stood alone on its bridge, the last human in the system. Around him, the ghosts of his fallen comrades seemed to smile their approval. Wind Through Stars appeared on the communication screen one final time. The Etherian's energy was dim, flickering with something that might have been shame. What happens now? It asked. Webb looked out at the galaxy he had just saved from destruction, a galaxy that had rejected humanity's friendship and tried to destroy them for the crime of being different. Now you learn, he said quietly. You learn what it means to be worthy of the peace you've been given. The epilogue came 5 years later. The old Galactic Council had dissolved, replaced by a new organization built on human principles of cooperation and mutual respect. Former enemies worked together on projects that benefited everyone. Wars that had lasted millennia ended with handshakes and shared meals. Humanity took no credit for these changes. They simply lived their lives, built their homes, and continued to be what they had always been, problem solvers who made friends from enemies and peace from war. But in the space between the stars, in the hidden places where humanity had built, their strength, new voices joined the cosmic song. Not voices of conquest or dominion, but voices of hope. The galaxy had learned that true strength was not the ability to destroy one's enemies. It was the wisdom to save them from themselves, and, in doing so, humanity had delivered what the skies had always promised. Not vengeance, but redemption. Not destruction, but the chance to build something better together. The story that began with betrayal ended with forgiveness. The species that had been rejected for being different became the teachers who showed the galaxy what it could become. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Hundreds of alien species filled the floating seats that moved like living things around the massive space. At the center, a bright blue light showed pictures that everyone could see clearly. Admiral Zexathyra stood 12 feet tall. Her purple skin had lines that glowed when she talked. She was from the Vorthan Empire, one of the oldest and strongest groups in the galaxy. Today she was talking about the newest members of the galactic community. The humans. "Look at these ships," Zexathyra said. Her voice was deep and made the whole hall shake a little. "These creatures from the planet they call Earth think these metal boxes can fight in space wars." The blue light showed pictures of human warships. They looked like gray metal rectangles with many holes in them. Long tubes stuck out from different parts of each ship. Some tubes were thick, others were thin. They all pointed in different directions, like the spines on some ancient beast. A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mouth parts together. This was Ambassador Clix from the Arthropod Collective. "What are those tubes supposed to do?" Clix asked. "They shoot metal pieces," Zexathyra answered. The purple lines on her skin got brighter. "Metal pieces? Can you believe it? They use chemical explosions to push lumps of metal through space." Laughter filled the great hall. It sounded like music, clicking, roaring, and humming, all mixed together. Every species had their own way of showing they thought something was funny. A floating ball of gas that sparkled with tiny lights spoke next. This was Representative Nuru from the Energy Collective. When Nuru talked, the voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Do they not know about plasma weapons? Have they never heard of energy shields?" "That is the best part," Zexathyra said. She made a gesture with her long arm. The pictures changed to show human soldiers in thick armor. "Look at their personal protection. Metal plates. They still use metal plates to stop enemy fire. Every civilized species stopped using solid armor 1,000 years ago." More laughter echoed through the hall. Captain Sarah Chen sat in the observation area. She was the only human in the whole building. Her dark hair was cut short and her brown eyes stayed calm even as hundreds of aliens laughed at her people. She wore the blue and silver uniform of the United Earth Space Navy. The uniform looked very plain next to all the strange clothes and body types around her. Sarah had fought in 3 wars on Earth. She had seen what human weapons could do to enemy ships and enemy soldiers. But she said nothing. She just listened and watched. "These humans," continued a creature that looked like a tree with too many arms, "they do not even have proper energy shields on their ships. They use more metal plates, thick ones." "How do they expect to fight with such old technology?" asked another alien. This one looked like a crystal that could somehow talk. "My people had better weapons when we first reached space 5,000 years ago." Zexathyra raised one arm to get everyone quiet. "That brings us to the real question. What do we do with these humans? They want to join our military alliance. They say they can help protect trade routes and fight pirates. With those museum pieces?" The insect creature clicked faster now. "A single pirate ship with modern weapons could destroy 10 of their vessels." "Maybe we should give them a chance," said a new voice. This came from Ambassador Trell of the Peaceful Diplomatic Corps. Trell looked almost human except for blue skin and 3 eyes. Every species deserves to prove themselves. Fine, Zexthyra said. Her voice had a tone that meant she thought this was a bad idea. But we cannot let them guard important trade routes. They might get destroyed and make us look bad for letting them try. The great hall fell quiet as everyone thought about this. Sarah Chen felt her hands make fists, but she kept them hidden under the table in front of her. I have an idea, said the crystal creature. There is a mining system in the outer rim. Sector 7745. 3 planets with mining stations. The system makes very little money and is not important to anyone. Perfect, Zexthyra said. If pirates attack there, we do not lose anything important. If the humans get destroyed, we can say, we gave them a chance. What about the miners working there? Asked Trell. They are mostly criminals working off debts, the crystal being answered. No one important will care if something happens to them. Sarah felt sick when she heard this. These aliens were ready to let human miners die just to test human weapons. But she still said nothing. She had orders to observe and report back to Earth Command. Very well, Zexthyra announced. The humans will be given the job of protecting Mining System 7745. They can send 3 ships, no more. If they succeed, we will consider giving them better assignments. And if they fail, asked the insect creature, then we will know that humans are not ready for real military work, Zexthyra said. They can go back to their little planet and play with their metal toys. The vote was quick. Every species voted yes except for Trell's people, who said they would not vote either way. The peaceful diplomatic corps never voted on military matters. Sarah Chen stood up slowly. All eyes in the great hall turned to look at her. Some aliens had dozens of eyes. Others had sensors that could see things human eyes could not. She felt very small and very alone. Captain Chen, Zexthyra said, do you accept this assignment for your people? Yes, Sarah said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the hall. Earth accepts? Wonderful, Zexthyra said, but her tone made it clear she thought the humans would fail quickly. You have 1 week to get your ships to the mining system. Try not to embarrass yourselves too badly. More laughter filled the hall as Sarah walked out. She kept her back straight and her steps steady. She would not give these aliens the pleasure of seeing her angry or scared. As she left the great hall, Sarah heard one last comment from the crystal creature. I give them 2 days before they run away crying. You are being too generous, replied the insect ambassador. I say they will surrender before the first shot is fired. Sarah walked faster. She had calls to make and ships to prepare. The aliens thought human weapons were jokes. They thought human armor was useless. They thought human ships were metal coffins waiting to be opened. Maybe they were right. Maybe human technology really was too old to fight modern space pirates. But Sarah had a feeling the galaxy was about to learn something new about the species from Earth. Something hot. Captain Vector laughed so hard that the other pirates on his ship turned to stare at him. He was reading the galactic news reports on his personal screen. The story about humans being assigned to guard Mining System 7745 was the funniest thing he had read in years. Vector was a Kethmar, which meant he looked like a cross between a shark and a lizard that walked on 2 legs. His skin was dark green with scars from many battles. His teeth were sharp and yellow. When he smiled, which he was doing now, he looked like something from a nightmare. Listen to this, Vector said to his crew. The Galactic Council gave the humans 3 metal boxes and told them to guard a mining system. The same humans who still shoot chunks of metal at their enemies. His first officer, a female Kethmar named Sixra, walked over to look at the screen. "Are you thinking what I think you are thinking, Captain? I am thinking that Mining System 7745 just became very interesting," Vectar said. His eyes glowed red when he was excited. "When was the last time we had easy prey?" The bridge of Vectar's ship was dark and filled with the sound of machines working. 12 other pirate ships followed his vessel through space. Each ship was painted black with red marks that showed they belonged to the Kethmar Corsairs. They were some of the most feared pirates in this part of the galaxy. Vectar's ship was called the Blood Drinker. It was 300 feet long and covered with weapons that could shoot beams of pure energy. Like all modern ships, it had energy shields that could stop almost any attack. The shields made a thin blue glow around the ship when they were turned on. "Tell me about their weapons again," Vectar said to his science officer. The science officer was a thin creature with 4 arms and big eyes. His name was Zixoth. "Captain, human weapons are very primitive. They use chemical explosions to shoot metal objects. Some of these objects move fast, but they are still just pieces of metal." "And our shields can stop metal objects?" "Easily. Captain, our shields can absorb energy from plasma cannons and laser beams. A few chunks of metal will not even make them flicker." Vectar stood up from his captain's chair. He was 8 feet tall, and his claws clicked on the metal floor when he walked. "How many humans will be guarding the mining system?" "Reports say 3 ships, Captain. Each ship has maybe 50 humans on it." 3 ships against 13, Vectar said. "And our weapons are 1,000 years more advanced than theirs. This will be easier than taking candy from a baby." Sixra pulled up a map of Mining System 7745 on the main screen. "Captain, look at this. The system has 3 planets. Each planet has mining stations on the surface. The miners dig up rare metals and load them onto cargo ships. How much are the metals worth?" Vectar asked. "Not much, Captain. But there are thousands of miners down there. We can take them as slaves and sell them in the Outer Rim markets." Vectar's smile got bigger. "Even better. We get easy practice against human weapons, and we make money too." The news about the human assignment had spread quickly through the criminal networks. Pirates, smugglers, and slavers all over the galaxy were talking about it. Most of them thought it was funny. Some of them, like Vectar, saw it as an opportunity. "Captain," said the communications officer, "I'm getting messages from other pirate groups. They want to know if we are going to attack the mining system." "Tell them we got there first," Vectar growled. "This is Kethmar business now." The Blood Drinker and its escort ships changed course toward Mining System 7745. It would take them 3 days to get there. Vectar spent those 3 days planning the attack and reading everything he could find about human military technology. What he read made him laugh even more. Human ships were slow. Human weapons had short range. Human armor was thick but could not stop energy beams. Humans did not even have artificial gravity on their ships. They had to spin parts of their ships to make fake gravity. "They are like cave people who somehow learned to fly," Vectar told his crew. "This will be the easiest raid we have ever done." On the second day of travel, Zixoth brought Vectar more information. "Captain, I have been studying human battle tactics. They like to get close to their enemies and shoot many bullets very fast." "How close?" "Very close, Captain. Sometimes less than a mile apart." Vectar laughed again. "Our weapons can hit targets from 100 miles away." We can destroy their ships before they get close enough to scratch our paint. On the third day, the pirate fleet arrived at the edge of mining system 7745. Vector looked at the main screen and saw exactly what he expected. 3 human ships moved slowly around the mining planets. The ships looked just like the pictures he had seen, gray metal boxes with tubes sticking out of them. They look even more pathetic in person, Sixra said. Captain, the communications officer said, "We are receiving a message from the human ships." "Put it on the main screen," Vector ordered. "I want to see what these primitives have to say." The screen showed a human female with short, dark hair. She wore a blue and silver uniform and sat in what looked like a very plain command bridge. Behind her, Vector could see other humans working at simple control panels. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Navy," the human said. "You are entering protected space. Identify yourselves and state your business." Vector stood up so the human could see his full height. "I am Captain Vector of the Kethmar Corsairs. We are here to take everything valuable in this system. That includes your ships, your cargo, and your people." The human captain's face did not change. "I suggest you turn around and leave. You are outnumbered and outgunned." Vector looked around his bridge. All of his crew were trying not to laugh. "Outgunned? Human? You have 3 metal crates with primitive weapons. I have 13 advanced warships with energy shields and plasma. Cannons. You cannot be serious." "Very serious," Captain Chen said. "This is your last warning." "My last warning?" Vector roared with laughter. "Human! When this battle is over, I am going to keep you as a pet. You will clean my ship and tell me stories about your backwards planet." The human captain was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that confused Vector. "I tried to warn you. Remember that." The communication ended. Vector stared at the blank screen for a few seconds. Then he turned to his weapons officer. Are our shields at full power?" "Yes, Captain. All ships report shields at maximum strength." "Good. All ships move into attack formation. Let us show these humans what real weapons can do." The 13 pirate ships spread out into a line. Their energy shields began to glow brighter as they prepared for battle. Each ship charged its plasma cannons and aimed them at the human vessels. Vector sat back in his captain's chair and smiled. This was going to be fun. The humans had no idea what they were about to face. Their primitive metal weapons would bounce off his shields like raindrops off a window. "All ships," Vector announced over the communication system, "prepare to fire. Target their engines first. I want to disable them, not destroy them. Dead slaves are worth nothing." The pirate fleet moved forward. In a few minutes, the galaxy would see what happened when modern technology faced primitive human weapons. Vector was sure the result would be discussed in pirate bars for years to come. He had no idea how right he was. Captain Sarah Chen watched the pirate ships move into attack formation on her main screen. Behind her, the bridge crew of the UES Defiance worked at their stations. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep from a control panel. "Captain," said Lieutenant Torres, the weapons officer, "all ships are ready to fire. We have full loads in all gun tubes." "Thank you, Lieutenant," Sarah said. She looked at the 13 enemy ships moving toward them. Each one was bigger than her destroyers. Each one had weapons that could punch holes through asteroids. "Communications. Open a channel to Wolverine and Thunderbolt." The other 2 human ships appeared on smaller screens beside the main display. Captain Rodriguez commanded the Wolverine, and Captain Kim commanded the Thunderbolt. Both ships were the same class as the Defiance, gray metal destroyers built for war. "Gentlemen," Sarah said, "you know the plan. First volley with standard rounds. Let them see what we can do before we get serious." "Understood," Captain Rodriguez said. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "My crew is ready." "Same here," Captain Kim added. She was young for a ship captain, but Sarah had read her service record. Kim had fought pirates before. "Should we spread out?" "Negative," Sarah said. "Stay close. We want them to think we are scared." The pirate ships were getting closer. Sarah could see the blue glow of their energy shields getting brighter. In a few minutes, they would be close, enough to start shooting. "Captain," the sensor officer called out, "the enemy ships are charging their weapons. I count over 200 plasma cannons aimed at us." "Let them come," Sarah said. She turned to her weapons officer. "Lieutenant Torres, load standard kinetic. Rounds in all tubes. Set them for maximum velocity." "Aye, Captain. Standard rounds loaded. Rail guns charging." Sarah felt the ship vibrate slightly as the railguns powered up. The Defiance had 12 railgun tubes along its sides. Each tube could fire a tungsten slug the size of a telephone pole at tremendous speed. When those slugs hit something, they hit very hard. The pirate ships opened fire first. Bright beams of red and orange energy shot across space toward the human vessels. The plasma bolts moved fast, but Sarah's ships were ready. They twisted and turned, avoiding most of the enemy fire. A few plasma bolts hit the Defiance. The beams struck the thick armor plates on the ship's hull. The metal glowed red-hot where the energy hit. But the armor held. Human ships were built to take damage and keep fighting. "Return fire," Sarah ordered. The 3 human destroyers fired at the same time. 36 tungsten slugs shot out of the railguns at incredible speed. The slugs were dark and hard to see against the black of space. They made no sound and left no trail of light. They were almost invisible until they hit their targets. The first volley struck the lead pirate ships with tremendous force. The energy shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the impact. But something strange happened that the pirates did not expect. Instead of stopping the metal slugs, the shields absorbed their kinetic energy and converted it to heat and electromagnetic force. But tungsten slugs moving at near light speed had a lot of kinetic energy. More than the shield generators were designed to handle all at once. The lead pirate ship, Blood Drinker, shook like it had been hit by a giant hammer. Captain Vector was thrown from his chair and rolled across the floor of his bridge. Warning lights flashed red and alarms started screaming. "Report!" Vector roared as he got back to his feet. "Shields are down to 60%, the science officer said. His 4 arms moved quickly over his control panel. The kinetic impact overloaded 3 shield generators. What? Vector could not believe what he was hearing. Those were just chunks of metal. Very fast chunks of metal, Captain. The force of impact was much higher than we calculated. On the other pirate ships, similar reports came in. Shields were damaged but holding. The ships themselves were not hurt, but the surprise was complete. None of them had expected human weapons to hit so hard. "Captain," Sixra said, "maybe we should pull back and rethink this attack." "No," Vector snarled. "They got lucky with that first shot. Our shields are still working. Fire again. All ships. Concentrate fire on the lead human vessel." More plasma bolts shot toward the Defiance. This time, some of them found their target. The energy beams hit the ship's armor and made it glow like hot coals. But the armor was thick and strong. It absorbed the heat and spread it out so no single spot got too hot. Sarah watched her ship take the hits without serious damage. "Damage report," she called out. "Hull armor is holding." "The damage," Control Officer reported. "Some surface burns, but all systems are operational." "Good," Sarah said. She turned to look at the pirate ships on her screen. Their shields were flickering where her tungsten slugs had hit them. That was exactly what she had hoped to see. "Communications. Open a channel to the lead pirate ship." Vektar's angry face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Sarah could see smoke and flashing warning lights. "Having some problems with your shields?" Sarah asked. "You got lucky," Vektar growled. "But your primitive weapons cannot break through our defenses. Surrender now, and I might let some of your crew live." "I have a better idea," Sarah said. "How about you surrender? Your shields are already damaged, and we have not even started shooting our good ammunition yet." "Your good ammunition?" Vektar laughed, but he sounded less confident than before. "What could be better than chunks of metal?" Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. "You are about to find out. All ships load thermite rounds. Let us show our new friends what real heat looks like." The communication ended. Vektar stared at the blank screen with growing worry. What did the human mean by thermite rounds? "Science officer," Vektar said. "What is thermite?" Zixoth's big eyes got even bigger as he looked up the information. "Captain, thermite is a chemical mixture that burns very hot. Very, very hot. Humans use it to cut through metal." "Can our shield stop it?" "I do not know, Captain. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. Thermite is a chemical reaction. It might behave differently." Vektar felt a cold feeling in his stomach. For the first time since the battle started, he was not sure his ships would win easily. On the Defiance, Lieutenant Torres finished loading the new ammunition. "Captain, all ships report thermite rounds loaded and ready to fire." "Fire when ready," Sarah said. The human ships fired their second volley. This time, the tungsten slugs had special tips filled with thermite compound. When the slugs hit the pirate shields, something new happened. The thermite ignited on contact with the energy barriers. Instead of just absorbing kinetic force, the shields now had to deal with chemical fire burning at over 4,000 degrees. The thermite stuck to the shield energy like burning glue and would not go out. Vektar watched in horror as his shields began to fail. The burning thermite created hot spots that overloaded the shield generators. One by one, sections of his defensive barrier flickered and died. "Shield generators are overheating," the science officer reported. "The chemical fire is too hot. We cannot absorb this much heat energy." "Emergency power to shields," Vektar ordered. "It is not working, Captain. The thermite keeps burning. It will not stop." Sarah watched the pirate shields fail with satisfaction. This was what human weapons were really designed to do. Not just hit hard, but hit hot. The galaxy had forgotten that there were many ways to destroy an enemy ship. "All ships," Sarah announced. "Enemy shields are failing. Prepare for the next phase of our attack." The pirates were about to learn that human creativity in warfare went far beyond simple metal slugs. They were about to discover what happened when a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of making things burn decided to take their talents to space. Captain Vektar watched his shield displays with growing panic. Red warning symbols flashed across every screen on his bridge. The thermite fire was spreading along his energy barriers like some kind of space plague. Where the chemical flames touched the shields, the protective barriers simply died. "Science officer," Vektar roared. "Why will the fire not go out?" Zixoth's forearms moved frantically over his controls. Captain, thermite does not need oxygen to burn. It makes its own oxygen as it burns. Our shields cannot smother it. Then dump power from our engines. Route everything to the shield generators. I already tried that, Captain. The generators are overheating faster than we can cool them. On the main screen, Vectar could see his other ships having the same problems. Burning patches of thermite clung to their shields like hungry monsters eating their defenses. The pirates had never seen anything like this in hundreds of battles. Captain Sarah Chen watched the enemy ships struggle with their failing shields. She turned to her weapons officer with a cold smile. "Lieutenant Torres, I think our guests need to see more of what human engineering can accomplish. Load the special package." "The special package, Captain?" Torres asked. His eyes lit up with excitement. "All tubes?" "All tubes. And signal the other ships to do the same." Torres turned to his control panel and began typing commands. Loading white phosphorus thermite rounds, depleted uranium penetrators, and high-explosive incendiary shells. "This is going to be beautiful, Captain." Sarah had spent years developing these weapons with Earth's best military scientists. While the galaxy played with energy beams and plasma bolts, humans had perfected the ancient art of making things burn, explode, and punch holes through armor. "Captain," the communications officer said, "we are receiving surrender signals from 3 pirate ships." "Tell them surrender is not accepted," Sarah said. "They came here to take our people as slaves. Now they get to see what happens to slavers." The first pirate ship lost its shields completely. The Blood Drinker was now naked in space, with only its hull armor to protect it. But Vectar did not know that human rounds were designed to punch through much thicker armor than his ships carried. "All ships open fire," Sarah commanded. "Show them what Earth's children learned in 10,000 years of warfare." The human destroyers fired their third volley. This time the rounds were different. Some were tungsten penetrators with depleted uranium cores designed to punch through the thickest armor ever made. Others were filled with white phosphorus that burned even hotter than thermite. Still others contained high explosives that would detonate inside enemy ships. The first rounds hit the Blood Drinker's hull with tremendous force. The depleted uranium penetrators went through the alien armor like knives through paper. Behind them came the incendiary rounds that spread burning chemicals throughout the ship's interior. Vectar felt his ship shake as the human weapons tore it apart from the inside. Explosions echoed through the corridors. Emergency lights flashed as power systems failed. The air began to smell like smoke and burning metal. "Damage report!" Vectar screamed over the sound of alarms. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7, someone shouted back. "Fire in the engine room! Fire in the weapons bay! Fire everywhere!" "Use the emergency foam." "The foam will not work, Captain. The chemicals keep burning even underwater." Vectar ran to a window and looked outside. He could see glowing holes in his ship's hull where the human rounds had punched through. Strange fires burned inside those holes, fires that seemed to feed on the metal itself. The other pirate ships were suffering the same fate. Human weapons designed for destroying bunkers and tanks were proving very effective against spaceships. The aliens had never faced an enemy that specialized in making things burn. Captain Kim's ship, the Thunderbolt, fired a spread of cluster rounds at a pirate vessel that was trying to run away. Each round split apart in space and released dozens of smaller projectiles. The smaller rounds hit the fleeing ship like a shotgun blast, tearing holes in its engines and setting its fuel tanks on fire. Captain Rodriguez's ship, the Wolverine, was hunting a pirate ship that thought it could hide behind one of the mining platforms. Rodriguez fired guided rounds that could change direction in flight. The rounds flew around the platform and hit the hiding pirate ship in its weakest spot. Captain Chen, Lieutenant Torres reported, "Enemy ship number 7 is breaking apart. Ship number 3 has lost main power. Ship number 11 is venting atmosphere." Sarah nodded. "Continue firing. Target their weapons and engines. I want them alive to tell others what happened here." The battle was becoming a demonstration of human military engineering. Every round fired had been designed for a specific purpose. Armor-piercing rounds punched through hulls. Incendiary rounds started fires that could not be put out. Explosive rounds turned spaceship corridors into scenes from hell. Vector tried to return fire, but his weapons were not working properly. The human rounds had damaged his power systems and targeting computers. When his plasma cannons did fire, the beams were weak and poorly aimed. "Captain," Sixra said, "we have to retreat. Our ship is dying." "We cannot retreat," Vector snarled. "We are Kethmar Corsairs. We do not run from primitive humans." "These humans are not primitive," Sixra shot back. "Look around you. Their weapons are tearing us apart." As if to prove her point, another human round punched through the bridge window. The projectile missed Vector by inches and embedded itself in the wall behind him. A moment later, it exploded and filled the bridge with burning fragments. Vector looked at his crew. Half of them were injured. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. His mighty warship was being destroyed by 3 human vessels that the Galactic Council had called obsolete. "All ships," Vector said into his communicator. "Retreat. Full speed. Get us out of here." But it was too late for some of his ships. 3 pirate vessels were already dead in space there, hulls cracked open like eggs. 2 more were spinning out of control, their crews probably all dead. The remaining ships tried to run, but human rounds chased them through space. Captain Sarah Chen watched the pirates flee with satisfaction. Her weapons had worked exactly as designed. Human military technology was not primitive. It was specialized. While other species focused on energy weapons and fancy shields, humans had spent thousands of years learning how to make things burn, explode, and break. "Should we pursue them, Captain?" Torres asked. "No," Sarah said. "Let them go. Let them tell the galaxy what they saw here today." The battle was over in less than an hour. 8 pirate ships had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 5 were running away as fast as they could go. Not a single human ship had been seriously damaged. "Captain," the communications officer said, "we are receiving messages from the mining platforms. They want to thank us." "Tell them they are welcome," Sarah said, "and tell them they can go back to work. The pirates will not be coming back anytime soon." Sarah looked at the burning wreckage of the pirate ships floating in space. Each piece of debris was a message to the galaxy. A message that said humans might use old technology, but they used it very, very well. The galaxy was about to learn that there was more than one way to fight a war among the stars. And humans had been perfecting their way for a very long time. The news traveled faster than any spaceship could fly. Within hours of the battle at Mining System 7745, every major government, military organization, and news service in the galaxy had received the same impossible report. The humans had won. Admiral Zexathyra sat in her private office on the Vorthan home world, staring at her computer screen in complete silence. She had read the battle report 17 times, but the words still did not make sense to her. "Impossible," she said to the empty room. "Absolutely impossible." Her aide, a younger Vorthan named Kextol, knocked on her door. "Admiral, the Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. They want you to present the battle analysis." "What analysis?" Zexathyra asked. "I do not understand what happened, any more than they do." She called up the video files that had been recorded by the mining station sensors. The footage showed 13 advanced pirate ships attacking 3 primitive human vessels. It should have been a massacre. Instead, she watched human weapons tear through energy shields like they were made of paper. "How?" Zexathyra asked the screen. "How did metal projectiles defeat modern shields?" The video showed thermite rounds sticking to energy barriers and burning them away. It showed tungsten slugs punching through armor that should have stopped them. It showed fires that burned in the vacuum of space without any oxygen to feed them. Captain Vectar's ship, the Blood Drinker, had been completely destroyed. Only 5 of his 13 vessels had escaped the battle, and all of them were badly damaged. The human ships had suffered minor hull burns and nothing more. Zexathyra's computer chimed with an incoming message. It was from Captain Sarah Chen herself. "Admiral Zexathyra," the human said in the recorded message, "I wanted to personally report that mining system 7745 is secure. The Kethmar Corsairs have been defeated. We are ready for our next assignment." The message was polite and professional, but Zexathyra could see something in the human's eyes that made her feel cold inside. Captain Chen was not asking for a new assignment. She was telling the galaxy that humans were ready for bigger challenges. Across the galaxy, other military leaders were having similar reactions. On the crystal world of Nexus Prime, General Quartzdor was studying the same footage with his staff of experts. "Explain to me how this happened," the crystal being demanded. "Sir," one of his advisors said, "it appears that human weapons operate on different principles than ours. Instead of using pure energy, they combine kinetic force with chemical reactions." "Chemical reactions? You mean they are using chemistry as a weapon?" "Yes, sir. Their thermite rounds create chemical fires that our shields cannot absorb or deflect. The fires burn hot enough to overload shield generators." General Quartzdor made a sound like breaking glass, which was how his species expressed surprise. "And their kinetic weapons?" "Much more powerful than we calculated, sir. They fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The kinetic energy is enormous." "Why did our intelligence reports not mention this?" "Sir, we assumed that kinetic weapons were primitive and weak. We never tested our shields against high-velocity projectiles carrying chemical payloads. In the Arthropod Collective, Ambassador Clix was having an emergency meeting with his military commanders. The insect leaders clicked and hummed in their strange language as they tried to understand what had happened. "The humans use fire as a weapon," one commander said. "Fire that cannot be put out." "How is this possible?" Clix asked. "Their projectiles carry materials that burn without oxygen. They create their own combustion reactions. Our ships are not designed to handle chemical fires." "What about their armor? How did it stop our plasma weapons?" "Human armor is much thicker than we thought. It is designed to absorb and distribute heat energy. Our plasma bolts spread out across the surface instead of penetrating." Clix felt sick. His species had laughed at human armor, calling it primitive and heavy. Now he realized that the humans had built their ships to fight exactly the kind of battle that had just occurred. On the peaceful diplomatic corps homeworld, Ambassador Trell was not surprised by the news. Her species had studied humans more carefully than most others. "I tried to warn them," Trell said to her assistant. "Humans are not primitive. They are specialists." "What do you mean, Ambassador?" Every species in the galaxy developed similar technologies because we all learned from each other. Energy weapons, energy shields, artificial gravity. We all build the same kinds of ships and fight the same kinds of battles. And humans? Humans developed their technology in isolation. They never learned our methods, so they perfected their own methods. Their way of fighting is completely different from ours. Is their way better? Trell looked at the battle footage again. Human rounds burning through energy shields with chemical fire. Human armor shrugging off plasma bolts like raindrops. For this kind of fight, yes, their way is much better. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in the organization's history. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss a single question. What do we do about the humans? Admiral Zex Thyra stood at the center of the Great Hall, presenting her analysis to the assembled aliens. Behind her, the giant display screen showed footage of the battle. The human victory was complete, Zex Thyra reported. 8 pirate ships destroyed, 5 damaged and fleeing, 0 human casualties. The entire battle lasted less than 1 hour. How is this possible? Asked the Crystal representative. Our intelligence said human weapons were obsolete. Our intelligence was wrong, Zex Thyra admitted. Human weapons are not obsolete. They are optimized for a different kind of warfare than we understand. Explain, demanded the insect ambassador. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other on their home planet. They perfected the art of using chemistry, physics, and engineering to destroy their enemies. When they built spaceships, they applied the same principles. And we missed this because we assumed that advanced technology always follows the same path, energy weapons and energy shields. But humans proved that there are other ways to fight. The Great Hall fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Finally, Ambassador Trell spoke up. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Zex Thyra took a deep breath. This was going to be hard to say. I recommend that we immediately upgrade human military assignments. They should be given first-tier protection contracts and full alliance membership. You want to reward them for using primitive weapons? I want to make sure they are fighting for us and not against us, Zex Thyra said. Because if we ever have to fight humans in a real war, we will lose. The vote was unanimous. Every species in the Council voted to upgrade humanity's status immediately. They also voted to study human military technology and see if they could adapt it for their own use. Captain Sarah Chen received the news while her ships were still patrolling mining system 7745. The Galactic Military Command had sent her a priority message offering humanity several high-value protection contracts. Captain, Lieutenant Torres said, they are offering us guard duty for the Antares trade route. That is one of the most important shipping lanes in the galaxy. They are also offering us membership in the Galactic Defense Force, added the communications officer. Full membership, not probationary status. Sarah smiled as she read the messages. The tone was very different from the communications she had received before the battle. These messages were polite, respectful, even grateful. What should we tell them, Captain? Torres asked. Tell them we accept all offers, Sarah said. And tell them we have more ships back on Earth if they need additional protection services. More ships, Captain? Much more, Lieutenant. Earth has been building warships for 50 years. We have a whole fleet waiting for assignments. Sarah looked out at the stars through her bridge window. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about human capabilities. But it was only the beginning. Humans had many more surprises to share with their new alien friends. The age of human warfare among the stars had just begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.